All right, moving on to more that we're tracking. Heavy rain continued to lash Bengaluru on Monday morning, flooding several roads and inundating the basements of a few apartments. Visuals of the concerning road conditions have taken over social media, triggering netizens to slam the IT hub's infrastructure. The Met Department predicted heavy rainfall will continue, battering several parts of Karnataka on Tuesday, especially the south interior and coastal Karnataka. Neha Hebale, my colleague, joins me for more on this. Neha, very good morning. Given the situation that we're looking at in terms of Bengaluru and rain, which never really changes, is unfortunate. We'll get speaking about that. But what has happened here, unfortunately, is with the fact that two kids were given to understand have also drowned. If you could get us more details from where you're reporting, we're given to understand this happened at Kengeri Lake.
Well, Nivedana, that's absolutely right. Most unfortunate here at the Kengeri Lake in Bengaluru, where two children are suspected to have drowned. In fact, yesterday evening, as a result of the heavy rains and the soil around this entire lake where they were playing, loosening up and possibly, causing them to slip inside. We're going to quickly give you a lowdown of possibly what happened yesterday evening. We're being told that the children, in fact, were playing near this lake. This is where their house is currently. In fact, while, of course, the parents were away, we're being told that the children, in fact, decided to venture closer to the lake now to go and play near the lake. And at that time is, in fact, when they've unfortunately slipped inside the lake. Remember, of course, it has been pouring quite heavily the whole of yesterday as well in Bengaluru. And as a result of that, it has, of course, been, quite dangerous to really be around these lakes. Just, of course, to give you an idea, my video journalist Santosh would, in fact, now bring you the exact situation that there is currently prevalent over here. We're being told that the children were playing around this soil roughly here. There is, in fact, still a small plastic vessel that you see that the children were playing with. This, in fact, is what has caused the tragic mishap, is what we're being told. The children reportedly, in fact, took this vessel, went in closer to the lake to collect some water to play with this soil around the lake. And that's when, in fact, this very unfortunate incident has happened. You can see, of course, the local police that is currently working with the fire services team as well has, in fact,
Neha, although you're getting us those very important points, stay with me. I understand. I'm going to come back to you in a couple of minutes. I've been told that Deepak is also joining us. Deepak Bopanna, my colleague, is reporting from Bhadra layout, is what I'm given to understand. Deepak, for a city like Bengaluru that all of us take pride in terms of why this is a city that's popular with its weather, and all of us have had some sort of that story to be talking about in terms of that. But this shows exactly the opposite. Every time it rains in the city, the entire city comes to a standstill. We're given to understand you're reporting from one such severely impacted area, Deepak.
Well, Nivedana, I'm right now in the northern part of Bengaluru. Unfortunately, yesterday, a lot of rains that this area received. You, of course, being from this side of Bengaluru, probably will not, like the site that I'm going to show you at this point in time. I'm around Balaji layout, Bhadra layout, and Tata Nagar in Vidyaranyapura and surrounding areas at this point in time. The Dodda Bommasandra lake has breached, and it has happened after 17 years is what I'm learning. You can see at this point in time, I'm near the sub-registrar's office here. This is once again a Bhadra layout and this is near the Tata Nagar circle that I am at. And right now, you can see, as my video journalist Sunil will show you these pictures, because cars are half submerged. People who are living in the ground floor have been forced to evacuate their homes. There is no option at this point in time, and they had to leave their homes in the middle of the night because the water started to gush in. They did not have a bed to sleep on. Electric appliances, of course, went kaput. Many of them right now stranded on the other side. They're hoping that they could make their way this side. Some of them hoping that they could make their way to their homes. There are many commercial establishments here as well. There is an individual who has a showroom here, I'm told. Sir, what kind of showroom do you own? What's the situation there at this point in time?
Totally full of water.
Okay.
Amber Film Studio.
What is it?
Amber Film Studios.
Okay.
Interior showroom.
It's an interior showroom. What sort of damage has it sustained, sir?
It is full of water now. We have to check up
You're not even able to access that area.
Yes, yes.
And you can see all around. It's not while the streets, of course, are flooded. Meanwhile, the traffic has been completely thrown out of gear. There is a huge pile-up of vehicles in and around. There is also water on this main road. I'm just going to ask my video journalist to show you these pictures, right? Just 20 to 30 meters from where I'm standing, there is a lot of water stagnant on the main road as well, which is leading to a massive traffic pile-up. This road, of course, eventually leads to Hebal, and everybody who's familiar with Bengaluru knows how chaotic the traffic there is. People are wading through waters here, but the worst hit, of course, are the residential layouts. Like, the one that I'm standing at. This is, once again, like I was mentioning, Tata Nagar. Viewers, of course, will know and be familiar. And you can see a few of them. Probably these are college students or wanting to go to work. You can see them coming out of their homes at this point in time. And they'll have to probably get some sort of a transport to get out of there. You can see them having an ID card. It's either, they're employees or college students who are trying to get out. So it is extremely difficult for them. And this is a type of horror that Bengalurians are going through in the last few days, with many areas like this completely flooded. And right now, we are also told that Krishna Bairegowda, the MLA and the minister from here, is around where I'm standing, has visited multiple areas, is asking the BBMP officials to work, pump out water,
Right.
but it's not going to be very easy considering the Dodabama Lake has breached, and that has led to overflooding in most of these areas.
Right, Deepak. I appreciate you joining us from ground zero and showing us how bad that situation is looking like. But for the moment, I'd have to leave the conversation at that. But let me take that point to cross back to Neha, in fact, who continues to stay with us. Neha, this is something which Deepak, of course, our colleague, has been mentioning. When we know Bengaluru, we know this particular situation. In fact, he also pointed out, for somebody like me who comes from that city, knows how this really pans out, Neha. For a localite like you as well, to kind of see this particular situation is not alarming, which is unfortunate, because every year, why is it that we get to see what has, happened in various parts of the city? We'll get talking about that aspect, Neha, but since you were showing us on ground what has happened, unfortunately, in Kengeri, with, of course, more action that's been taken, if you could take us through that, and then, of course, we'll get into the different aspects of why this is a recurring problem.
Well, absolutely, Nivedana. Back to where we left off from at the Kengeri Lake here. In fact, authorities have been on ground since last evening. Two young children, Srinivas and Lakshmi, all of 11 and 13 years, suspected to have slipped into this lake. As you see, in fact, of course, for our viewers who aren't, at the spot right now, just to give you a full sense of how bad, the mud, of course, in around this lake really is. You can still see, in fact, it's quite slippery here, just to sort of give you perspective. And, we're told that these little children, in fact, ventured closer to the waters of the lake to try and collect some water to come back and play. And at that moment is when reportedly, in fact, the girl has slipped into the lake. And when her, in fact, brother there reportedly saw this, is when he's gone in to try and help her. And that's when, unfortunately, both of them are suspected to have drowned. This first came to light now when an eyewitness reportedly alerted the local police station that's just about a kilometer away from here. And even now you can see teams of the fire services pressed into action from this morning, trying to search for, in fact, those two little kids who drowned. It's really quite unfortunate. We're told that the mother, in fact, of these two kids was reportedly away at the time that this incident took place, that she had, in fact, gone to work. This right behind us is their house as well. You can see that, of course, while there is a lot of activity here, this really goes on to, again, raise questions now of the unfortunate incident that happened here. These two little children have lost their lives. But this is not the only havoc that the rain has wreaked in Bengaluru. Our colleague Deepak there, as well as our video journalist Sunil, also on ground, bringing us those visuals of how people across the city have been impacted. Unfortunate as it is, life has quite literally been thrown out of gear in many parts of the city. While, of course, it may seem like a sunny morning today with the skies also appearing to be quite cleared out there, the fact is that, one night of rains has caused quite a bit of damage to Bengaluru city.
Right, Neha. And, with the fact that you're putting this into perspective as to what has happened essentially at Kengeri Lake, but what you pointed out is something that you, through your reporting career, have also seen, that every time it rains, you have also joined us from various locations, including what's happening presently in North Bengaluru. Now, nobody can forget, in fact, a year and a half ago, what really transpired in the IT capital as far as the Whitefield corridor is concerned. These images that we're also continuing looking at this screen is just tip of the iceberg. But the question here is, why is it that every year we're in a situation like this, especially for a current government that has visioned a brand Bengaluru? When you're looking at a situation like this, it seems like we're far from that.
Well, yes, absolutely, Nivedna. Primarily, of course, if we're talking about the Whitefield stretch and the IT, park cap, that side of the city, further, of course, towards Whitefield, Marathalli, Bellandur and beyond, the Manita Tech Park, those areas, primarily, of course, even when we spoke with several urban planners, are a whole lot of encroachments, and the fact that the drains currently, haven't been upgraded, that they're unable to hold the capacity of water that, stagnates on the roads, and that's primarily why we're seeing the unfortunate visuals that we have been bringing through the whole of, last week, through last year as well. And that area of Bengaluru happens to be among the highest tax-paying area, and despite that, of course, the situation, while it hasn't really improved over there, in many parts of the city like Koramangala and a few other areas as well, has gotten slightly better, is what the citizens have said. In, of course, areas like ST Bed layout closer to Koramangala 3rd and 4th block, where there used to be massive flooding even till about possibly 2 years ago, while that's been brought under control, areas of Bommanhalli have gotten better. Areas of Yelahanka, of course, have seen a little development as well. Unfortunate as it is, of course, the question that now arises again is, were we unprepared to tackle these rains? Well, the Deputy Chief Minister, when asked about this time and again, of course, says that, we're requesting people to cooperate with us. But those visuals that we were bringing a little while earlier, even from the Bhadra layout, in Bengaluru, sure seems like,
Yes.
of course, people's patience, they're being tested quite literally to its peak.
Absolutely, and in fact, Bhadra layout is situated, in a place of the city which is, in fact, a very prominent area, Neha, which is why it also raises questions about why citizens time and again find themselves in a spot where they have to combat, a situation like that. Having said that, Neha, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast with the latest and also drawing perspective. But for now, we'd have to leave it at that. From Karnataka